Zeta is a weird character. So the easiest way to use Zeta's ult is to use it around a revive. This guy's stun lasts long enough that I get about 3/4 of that revive done. And even though he can act, let's say he keeps pushing me, I can just start shooting him if he eats the stun. This makes your ult work basically like Gundam's ult, except if they destroy the ult, which in this case is your teammate's body, the ult still goes off. And that makes it much easier to use, in my opinion. The next thing I want to talk about is Zeta's flight mode. What conventionally kind of makes flight mode characters cringe is just that they have lots of good matchups, and they are typically among their own best counters. So Ashe, Zeta, you need a gun to reach them if they're flying that high. And that is the recipe for a solo carry character. You have lots of easy matchups, and then you are among your own best counters. But what's interesting about Zeta's kit is that it's actually designed to punish you if you play it the cheesy way. If you fly up like this, you have shields in front of your Wave Rider, but watch my arm. See how I have to raise the shield? You can't fluidly transform from Wave Rider mode into mobile suit mode and have block frames throughout that animation. However, if you start like this and you use flight mode as a pursuit tool, this is fluid. There aren't frames of exposure. And this is what you're supposed to be doing with this flight mode. You're supposed to know how to use it like a gun tank tackle, and what you can do is you can frame trap shields so that if they dodge, they get hit by one of these 3 bullets. But if they don't dodge, they get hit by the melee. This lets you just sort of take pieces off the board when you see they're sufficiently vulnerable, and it's an important part of making your character threatening. It's why this flight mode has this multi-shot as opposed to a single shot. The other thing I would recommend is using flight mode to reload in a pinch. You know, maybe you run out of ammo and you want a way to reload while also moving away. Look at how quick that was. I didn't even have to use my whole flight mode and I just got my whole mag back. You have time to shoot and reload before the flight mode ends. The last thing I would suggest is to practice with crosshair precision enabled. You can see this gun actually is hella inaccurate while I'm jumping, which is weird because you'd think, really? Flying character? They have good air accuracy. Shield character? They have good hip fire accuracy. But you don't actually have air accuracy. You have falling accuracy. And it takes a moment for the crosshair to even zip in after the apex of your jump. So you kind of don't want to press your hover key until after these connect. And that timing makes it easier to land shots. The rest of Zeta's kit is pretty simple. Your beam rifle has 250 meters of range, which is 50 less than most rifle characters, but it's the same as Ashimar, and it's 50 more than GM, which is the next biggest shield. Your biosensor can give you a damage boost, and it deteriorates if you go a while without dealing damage. At max biosensor, a limb shot and 3 body shots, or a limb shot and 2 headshots will add up to 900 damage, but below max biosensor, these combinations will do more like 800 damage if you're hovering around 60 biosense. The Hyper Mega Launcher, unlike your primary weapon, has infinite range, but you can't block while doing it. If we look at how this works, you can frame trap shields with it, very much like your Wave Rider mode, because it's continuous fire. And the only way to cancel it is to switch into Wave Rider mode. You can't normally cancel the laser beam, but if you tap this, you can get out whenever you want and transition right into your shield. Unlike Ashimar, who can just hover for 6 seconds to recover all but 1 second of its flight mode, and then fall for 1 second and re-enter flight as soon as it touches the ground, Zeta has an extra second of flight mode cooldown. On Zeta, if we hover way up here, we can get all but 2 seconds of our cooldown left. And then when we land on the ground, we can hover again with just enough fuel to fire the Hyper Mega Launcher. The sooner you land on the ground, the sooner you start getting fuel back. So if you want to use the flight mode off cooldown without running out of fuel in the process, you want to mix high and low ground flights. Just remember that you need your shield to be available or you won't be able to transform at all.